Hello, I'm Kate and I'm a graphic designer and a graphic illustrator. My job is to take messages or ideas or information from my client and put it together in a visually engaging way. And I can kind of do this with images or with images and text and with graphics. I work from my home studio. I get up, have a cup of tea, put the radio on, and then I'll check my email. So I've got the brief from the client, we'll have discussed it, talked about it. Then the trusty sketchbook comes into play, where I would sketch out some ideas. I'd liaise with my client and we'd go back and forth with maybe some corrections, but eventually to the final, say, Instagram post. But if I'm doing a bit of illustration, graphic illustration, that could be a lot more creative and a lot more open. There was a job for Uckfield Library to do some graphic illustration. So that would involve going out on location to Uckfield, visiting the library, visiting the area, talking to people, taking lots of photos and doing lots of sketches on site, and then taking all of this information back, coming back to the computer, looking at my photos and things, and taking that information and reproducing it in a graphic form. So it's basically simplifying it all down. At school, I really enjoyed art and I really enjoyed graphic design, obviously, and I really enjoyed craft design and technology, as it was named then. Subjects that I just really enjoyed and just really made me happy and just really expanded that world in school, just to lead on to other things. Because I did focus on these subjects like graphic design and art, I'd get sort of asked to design the school poster if they were having like an event. Then I'd sort of help friends with their logos and design work. Then one day my CDT teacher said, "Oh, you can do this for a living." And I was like, oh wow, I can do this for a living. And that to me was so exciting. So I went to the library because we didn't have the internet then. And I found out what a graphic designer did. And then I did a BTEC National Diploma in Art and Design. And then I went on to do a degree in Art and Design. And then when I'd graduated, I worked in Brighton for a bit, in creative agencies in Brighton. And then I went self-employed about 14 years ago. Since I was young, my inspirations have come a lot from going to galleries and going to museums. I'd always find exhibitions would always just teach me that little bit more or lead me on to another new subject. So I'd learn a bit more about history of design and history of art and how it kind of works together and how it's relevant. I just always find something to take away and bring back into my own practice or something. So the task I'm setting today is a little bit of an intro to graphic design and graphic illustration, and it would be to design a nature badge. Here's a couple of badges that I designed previously. So it's kind of like looking at, so this was one for owls and one for deers. And so it's kind of looking at the shape of an owl, the shape of a deer, and just really concentrating on the outline and just reducing all that detail down. That's kind of what I did there. So maybe for your nature badge, if you look at something in nature that you find quite interesting, so it could be something like some leaves that you may find, it could be a pine cone. I've always found pine cones really interesting, their sort of way that just their shape and things, or it could be a shell. And look at the sort of shapes that you see on different angles, like you could see circles or spirals, or see if there's any sort of like bold features or bold patterns that you could maybe simplify. So it's looking at the outline, looking at detail, but really reducing that detail and just sort of showing or drawing the main detail that you see. And then looking at colour as well, and what are the main colours that you see sort of in that object. And I think one of the top tips would be that less is more. So when producing something graphically, less is more. And is it still recognisable? Have you got it down to such a reduced state that you can't see what it is, or is it still recognisable?